What's up guys? So, I thought it'd be interesting to see in today's video what made Black Ops 3 so good, bad, average and all that. Before I start, quick disclaimer, these are purely my opinions and my thoughts. If you guys feel something different, or if you hated this game or loved it, whatever the outcome may be, that's fine. Let me know in the comments what you loved or hated. So the campaign on this game had a lot to live up to. After the amazing Black Ops 1 campaign, and then the equally stellar Black Ops 2 campaign that let you make your own choices in game, this game really had big shoes to fill. The question is, did it do it properly? Well, let's have a look at the campaign. So the campaign starts with a custom character creator, which is pretty decent, but could have had so much more potential. You get a choice between roughly 8 different choices, and these are very simple, stuff like hair, maybe a slight beard change, stuff like that. It's a right step in a good direction, but as I said, they could have been so much more put in here, but overall, I enjoyed it. It then goes on to show future war and chaos scenes over time, and the overall themes and ideas are so cool. You start off this game and they throw these little flashbacks of what's happened in the world and the war that has devastated it, and how that this war now is not just your standard World War II, it's almost like this hybrid futuristic World War III that has devastated the planet, and that was such a good point to start on, and I was genuinely excited. I had not played the Black Ops 3 campaign before this, and so I was at least fairly interested. And as always, the campaign starts off slow, which was fine. This is how all Call of Duty campaigns start off, with some mundane, walking through building stuff. So, in the first couple of missions, or the first mission I should say, no real issue here. However, I did start to notice a lot of awkward pauses in the voice acting.
Always. We'll grab a weapon from the locker room up ahead, and reprogram it to match your biometrics.
Now, this isn't the voice actor's fault specifically, this is more of the direction and the editing the game took. I often see times where someone will be talking and there'll be like a 5 to 6 second delay before a response from someone that is stood in front of them. Now, I get in real life, people take time to think about things and mull over things, but with this happening every couple of seconds, it got very jarring. But as I say, it's not the voice actors' issues in particular. We will talk about them a little bit more in a moment. Anyway, through the first mission, you fight through an army base to basically save someone, and then a robot attacks you. That's the best I can explain it. You're sent in to try and save someone, it all goes kind of tits up. All of a sudden you're shooting people, and then robots appear at the end. And this point, I will say, if you haven't played it, obviously, it's been out for like 5 years, so I'm not sure why, but after fighting through this army base, at the end, there is a robot, and it basically rips your arms off. It rips your arms and legs off, and this was really cool and really gritty, and I thought this would be the theme the game went. I thought, wow, the whole game is going to be this really gritty theme, and that would be cool. I would like that, because Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 were both very gritty, realistic feeling games. Unfortunately, that's not the route it went, and we will discuss that more later. However, the issues with this came about 5 seconds after I finished this mission, because towards the end of the mission there is basically this big crate that comes down, and you've got to escort and protect this person that you're meant to be saving for a plane to come pick it back up. Okay, so a couple of issues here. One, they drop the plane down. Why wouldn't they, as they're dropping this crate down, just stay there, get everyone to jump on and fly off immediately? That was my first thought, but again, maybe we don't want to be shot at, fair enough. And then my second thought was, we're stood around for what seems like 5 minutes, waiting for this plane to come back, and there's a big metallic box for cover, and yet everyone chooses to stand out in the open. This immediately was an issue for me, because it all stood out in the open, which is fair enough, you're meant to be protecting, but the dude is in the box container. Your friend is in the container. Why don't you and your other friend go in the container and poke your gun around the corner? You've got a heck of a lot more cover, but they chose not to do that, and for me, that almost immediately took away from the experience. That is a big issue, because in a real war, in a real job, you would look for the best possible cover. You wouldn't freely just stand out in the open, and this did ultimately lead to the time where the robot rips your actual arms off. Not a great start, but I get that maybe at the time emotions going through your head, you're not 100% on track, so that's fair enough, but this was the start of the cracks in this game. Anyway, after this, the next mission I should say, goes on, and what I very quickly noticed on the second mission and also on the first mission is there was just no exploration. Now, each Call of Duty game, they reckon that is bigger and better than the last. However, I tried to explore the limited starting areas, little hallways, little corridors, little rooms, but there is no exploration at all. You even get death screens in corridors. And this is frustrating. Don't render and make a corridor if when I get to the end of said corridor, you give me a death screen. Either lock it off, or don't give me a death screen, you know? And my issue here was that they should either let us explore, or remove these rooms and corridors completely. Either tell us that yes, this is a game where there is at least a limited amount of exploration, or no, there is no exploration and it's linear. Either or would have been a better option than this 50-50 in the middle, this illusion of amazing exploration where in reality there is none. It is a very stressful moment when you're trying to walk around these buildings and all of a sudden, oh, big red flashing light on your screen. It's just not something that would happen. It is, like I say, really taken out of the experience. After your first mission as well, there was after mission XP and leveling. This I really liked. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what to think about it, but I really got to like it. It's very similar to the prestige bar in multiplayer. You go through and you see the XP you've earned and all that. You then get to see what you've unlocked maybe for your next level, whether that be a gun or a new augment, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But overall, this was a cool idea, and it always made you feel like you was working towards and gaining something. You know, like I say, whether that be a weapon or equipment, whatever. Always felt like you was achieving something, and so I really liked that. It didn't get in your face, but it was there enough to keep you kind of going. Really good there. Anyway, right back to that first mission. So, after you get ripped apart, and it truly is ripping apart, your arms are torn off your body. You then get rebuilt. So the robot rips you up, and almost immediately it has these flashes to you being rebuilt as a person, and that was pretty cool, I suppose. And then that's it. It throws you straight into another mission. So this next mission, you're on a train, and you get a massive monologue from Taylor, who, believe it or not, is not the good guy. Because who would have seen that coming? The dude that we saw for exactly 2 minutes spinning his knife around in everyone's faces and chatting away like a good guy. Yeah, he's definitely not the good guy. This was so obvious, literally just from looking at him. Immediately, as soon as I saw him in that first scene where he's, you know, got his little pistol out, I was like, well, you know, this dude isn't going to be good, is he? Let's be honest, this happens every Call of Duty. But that's fine. So we get this monologue from Taylor and have to fight through robots on a train, and this is so boring and so tedious and unnecessary. The only reason it's in the game is for the pure monologue and to explain what's actually happening. As if we, as Call of Duty fans, are too stupid to know that things happen. And they do happen quite a lot. But no, Taylor's got to be there and he's got to let us know that these things are happening. It's not great, it is boring. We do get the first use of some kind of abilities though, which again, boring. I don't really know what else to say here. And then all of a sudden the train blows up. And yeah, that's kind of it. It almost goes to this Groundhog Day kind of thing where, if you've ever seen the film Source Code, I believe it is, with Jake Gyllenhaal, I believe. I mean, it's basically that. You're on a train, you got to find who's blown up the train, blah, blah, blah. The idea is cool, the actual use of that idea, not so cool. But that's fine. Again, it's a second mission. Maybe they have to help the newer players. I understand that. Anyway, after the train blows up, all I could help thinking was that there is some very weird voice acting. And this was almost immediately after. So the train blows up and I'm like, hold on a minute. And I kind of stop my recording, I go back and have a little look. And there's points where the voice acting for your player is just constantly seems to shout.
This tastes like heaven.
You know, you could get a mod that makes everything taste good.
If I did that, I'd never get to appreciate the real thing.
And I don't know why. I don't know what direction he was taking, because the voice actor himself is a good voice actor, but the direction he's been told to take seems to be 110% at all possible times. And I'm honestly not sure why, because it really interrupts the experience. When you're trying to have a conversation, or you're trying to fight robots, or you're trying to hide behind a corridor, and all of a sudden this dude is shouting in the face of his friend. It's like, well, hang on a minute, mate. You know, just calm down. It's gonna be okay. You know? It is stressful, it is weird, but fair enough, I thought. Maybe they're gonna go somewhere with this. Big hint, they definitely don't. Anyway, moving on from there. So, you start to get these hacking abilities, and the sound of them, of what they do, are pretty cool, but never once do they prove more useful than a gun, and a lot of them are just useless. There are some that are thrown in clearly for filler, so they can have an extra menu in the menus to have more menus. You know, it's, like I say, it is a pointless ad. I would rather them have just had 6 or 7 that really did a good job and made you feel like it was really cool to unlock them, rather than having like 8 in 3 different categories, which, if you can do maths, should be around about 24. Although I was never the best at maths, so I'll let you guys figure that one out. So you have all these abilities, and you would think they would have them more varied and really cool, but no, they don't. In the first few missions, you get very simple. You can hack into robotic things, which was pretty cool. Being able to hack into a sentry turret behind the enemies, that was a cool feature. And then there was other things like a swarm of, I guess, nanites, because that's a thing, and they can kind of blind people. That kind of annoyed me. I thought, well, why can they only blind people? They're nanites. You're telling me they can't, what, like, poke their eyes and, you know, render them useless or anything else, or affect their weapons? No, they can blind people and they just kind of float around. But it's like, fair enough, it is the first couple. On from here anyway, there is more pointless game and shooting through bases, and look, there's some bad guys, shoot them, there's some more bad guys, blah blah blah. And then we get to a bit that genuinely, it made me giggle. So there's a part where someone is basically dying, and someone else, and I say someone and someone else because you don't remember anyone's names in this game because they're that forgettable, but you get told that you have roughly 15 seconds to do this Star Trek-esque mind meld where you get to see into their subconscious. However, when she literally says that you have roughly 15 seconds, she proceeds to talk for what seems like 2.5 minutes, blabbering on, explaining to us as the audience how it works. At this point I'm thinking, I don't give a shit how it works. You've told me I've got literal seconds to do this thing, to get the information. I know the risks, you've told me the risks immediately. Now just let me know if I should do it or not, and then let me follow through and do it.
Before he shakes hands with the Grim Reaper. You can't let that happen. Not before you get the information we need.
I don't think he's in any condition to talk.
He doesn't have to. He has a DNI. Buried beneath layers of security protocols, the subject's DNI records cam footage of the user's past experiences. In extreme circumstances, it is possible to extract that information by force. You'll be able to push deep into the subject's memories, their thoughts, even their subconscious. You could learn everything we need to know about the terrorists' plans.
I'm sensing a butt coming up somewhere.
You should know. Not only will this procedure be deeply traumatic for the subject, but the associated subconscious interference will leave him brain dead. Dead. Believe me, this is a bad way to go.
He's a dead man anyway. Besides, he's a fucking terrorist.
But no, she's here saying, well, you may only have seconds, but let me then talk for 3 minutes about the issues here and the exact in-depth details about what's gonna happen. It's stupid. It is so stupid. Just let us, as an audience, figure that out for themselves. No one under the age of 18 should be playing anyway by, you know, the age rating of the game. So if you're telling me no one under the age of 18 knows that if you do a mind meld, you're gonna fuck someone's brain up, because we've one, been explained this, and two, it's fucking obvious. But no, they carry on with that, and it's like, right, okay, fair enough. Blah blah blah, more mission things, more shooting in the same boring areas. Then there's free running, and I was like, right, this is it, boys. We've got some free running. They really went for this in the marketing. They were saying, you know, the exosuit movement has been perfected now. And the free running part is possibly one of the most boring in the game. So they really went with the whole advanced movement and redefined it, but just didn't utilise it. So this free running part is as simple as run across a billboard and then jump up a couple of things and then jump on a guy at the end. And I think, right, maybe that's the start of a few free running moments in the game. It wasn't. That was the only free running moment throughout the entire game, which was... honestly, I don't know what to say. They speak so loudly about how free running was going to be the future, and yet ruin it by giving us a boring sequence. And I don't mind one boring sequence. If they have to do that to show us how it works, again, fair enough, pander to your audience. But no, they're like, here, have multiple boring sequences. No, they don't even do that. They just give us the one. They're like, yeah, there you go, fuck it, we've put that in, that'll satisfy you. Again, absolutely useless. And then what's funny is from there, in order to be able to wall run again, you have to unlock a fucking, like, upgrade in your creator class thing after the game. Which was so stupid. You're in exosuits. I see these people stood in big exosuits. So for the life of me, I can't figure out why no one is using them. We see later in the game them lifting heavy rocks and stuff out of the way, so they've clearly got some kind of strength in whatever kind of bullshit future this is. But you're telling me that your boots can't be sticky anymore unless I spend an upgrade point on them? It just seems so wasted. The potential is really wasted. But then we get glimpses of good again. There is a hub room before the missions, or I should say after the missions, that let you interact with them. So this is a big room that, although minimal in terms of what you can do, it is still useful. You can see accommodations and accolades, you can see creator class stuff, you can customize weapons. It's a cool kind of mode, to say the very least. I'll say mode, a cool kind of break, I guess. It makes it feel at times like the missions are a bit more believable, like you're kind of getting an actual debriefing and having these little conversations and then choosing which weapons after checking out the mission briefing to use and then going into your mission. It feels at least a bit more realistic than other Call of Duty, so well done for that. However, the issue with the hub room is, after going through a mission where you're driving around with a weapon that shoots literal explosive rounds, it seems, and shooting down helicopters or stopping a train from exploding, to then immediately be cut into this, it's just like, oh, here you go, you've done that mission, up next is this. That can be a bit jarring, I won't lie, but, like I say, overall, it's pretty decent. I can't say anything wrong about this. And then I start to notice some more issues, like grenade indicators. So the grenade indicators in this game got me killed more than anything else. The amount of times a grenade would fall and I would see this white indicator and I thought, okay, there's a grenade. I should watch out for this grenade. And so I'd move away, and literally, no matter how far I seemed to get away, I could never tell how close the grenade was, and I would die. Every fucking time I would die. It was so stressful that I turned this game off twice, because there was a couple of missions that just get grenades thrown in your face. It doesn't make sense. It seems like such a simple thing, but when grenades are blowing you up, and my own grenades as well, like I would throw a grenade and it'd be like what felt like 10 seconds. I'd take a step forward and bang, from 4.5 miles away I'd get blown off my feet because of my own grenade. It is annoying. And then you've got the awful AI to go with that. I played just on regular difficulty. I didn't play it on easy, I didn't play it on veteran, just regular, what the average person would play on. And oh my god, the AI is shit. The robots are slightly better, I guess, and it kind of makes more sense that they take a more direct approach, because I'm guessing if it's a robot, it would try and just do the optimal route, whatever, whereas a person would hide. But the people characters in this game are awful. They're truly shit. They cannot shoot you. There have been times where they're pointing a gun literally down my asshole, and they'll still be like, no, we're not going to shoot you for whatever reason. It's annoying, and again, another reason why it takes away. And some of you are probably saying, well, why don't you just go on to a higher difficulty then? Well, because higher difficulties don't mean better AI. Higher difficulties usually mean you take more damage and you have less health, not better AI.
Let's do some damage.
And then we go on to my favourite mission. So after a few filler missions, whatever, mainly forgettable, it comes to a mission where you use zip lines, you can use boats, you can go underwater, and I really liked this mission. It wasn't perfect, but the variety of using these zip lines to go from kind of little base to little base, and then having to jump off and swim, and then having to hop on a boat, and that is really cool. And that is what I wanted from this game more, just tense, ridiculous fun. And a couple of missions, I'll be honest, are actually really tense. One in particular, where you're basically in pitch black, and there's these robots coming out of the water for you. This, the first time round, genuinely shit me up. I thought this was really cool, and I've never had this level of suspense in a Black Ops game. So well done for that, because that was a really cool moment. And then we find out the CIA is not as good as we think they are, and it spoils it all. If you hadn't already guessed, the CIA, which is, I'm guessing, who you work for, it's never explained properly, because, you know, you kind of go from one area to another. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's fine. You realise the CIA are actually the bad guys, sort of, and they've killed a lot of people, and they say 300,000 people died because of blah blah blah, and it's like, oh, okay, this might be getting good then. There might be some moles in the CIA. And then you follow on that to the worst mission in the game. And let me just point this out, just in case I don't show footage, which I probably will. I probably have the footage, but just in case I don't. There's one mission where you're meant to be scouting out what's happening below. There's a big robot, and when I say big robot, I mean robots that any other time in a game would literally blow your fucking head off. And there's like 20 bad guys, okay? And it's just you and your friend, and you're scouting it out, and in the back of your head, yourself, you're thinking, well, maybe we're going to finally use stealth, maybe we're going to wait for him to disperse, but no, they waste that opportunity, and instead, you throw like a flashbang, and then you use a fucking zip line that just so happens to be placed so you can zip line into the enemies, and this big robot boss just fucking goes down in like 2 shots. It doesn't make sense. Why would you zip line into a group of enemies? You would take them out on the high ground, but no, the game ruins itself by making you do this. It really, really does. And this was, for me, one of the worst missions in this game. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And then, further on from there, there's this big robot boss. But it's frustrating because you have to take him down with RPGs or whatever this game's equivalent is. However, it doesn't always give you an indication of where the RPGs are. So there's one boss that comes out of this wall and the RPG is near it. So if you're playing on any higher difficulties, which I did, you get immediately molested and sent back to the playground. you just get absolutely fucked every time you try and grab it. And it is just sheer ridiculousness. And then the game uses its first excuse of stealth.
Shit.
You get a Shiva,
like an immortal
which this game's
condition
equivalent of a semi-automatic suppressed rifle. Pretty cool, I guess,
I'll cover
but
you
it's a
from above.
one-shot weapon. Again, okay, fair enough. It's maybe like a super gun of some kind. It is the future after all. However, it doesn't really let you know that it is a proper stealth mission. So you go into this big base and you're shooting like 20, 30 people. And then you get noticed and nothing changes. You carry on doing it. It's boring. And it is so bad at stealth. I honestly didn't want to do it anymore. Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 had such good stealth missions. And most Call of Duties have at least one mission where they wanted to go stealth with a semi-auto silent sniper or assault rifle with a scope, and that's fine. It's usually good, if not really good. You know, calling back to Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3, whichever it was. But this just fails awfully. And then we start to get a bit further into the game. You start to feel like the game is hopefully being wrapped up a bit more because you don't want to play anymore. And then there's a mission where you get off a train and immediately are forced to walk. But not walk at like a normal speed. You know, not the normal game walking speed. No, you're forced to walk at what can only be described as if a turtle had its fucking legs blown off, thrown under said train, ran over 6 times, then put back onto the sidewalk and told to run a fucking race. That is how slow you walk in this game. You are walking at such a snail's pace. It is awfully annoying. You know, either let us run around at the normal speed we have the rest of the game with your crazy advanced movement that hasn't been used properly. Either let us run around at that speed, or make us walk at least at the same speed as everyone else. You know, let us choose to listen to the conversation that's happening, or let us choose to go and explore what mediocre exploration a game has given us. It is so annoying, and I cannot tell you how close I was to turning off a game at this point. But it's not all bad, because again, it shows us some pretty cool things. With the White Forest mission, or the Frozen Forest, I believe it's called in the game. So throughout the game, they keep saying, go to the Frozen Forest, blah blah blah, Frozen Forest. And I'm thinking, right, this should be something pretty cool, and it was. You're led to this in-head mental forest thing, where you walk around, there's trees and there's babies, and it's hard to explain, but it felt cool to do it. And I will be honest, I really like this mission, one of my favourite in this game. And then again, it absolutely spoils it, because there's a couple of missions after this that are just pure filler. Really, they are. There's missions where you're just walking around, and that's kind of it. You walk around, you go to a random base, you don't know why, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know why you're killing these people, but you are, and that's fine. You know, you've got to kill these people, so you kill them, and that's it. Then it's like, right, another one now. And then you finally get to an actual story mission. It's just stupid. It really is. And it's a shame, because this game has certain things that they did really well. For example, the HUD. You can turn on and off this mode where you can see kind of enemies, and it does this scan, and you can see on the floor the hot areas where you don't want to be going and areas that are better to go. This was a really cool idea, but it's executed awfully with the bad mission design. Then after all of this, after all this filler, after all this possibility, I start to notice that pretty much every mission ends with this stupid close call escape. After every mission there's always an explosion that means you have to run out of the area as quick as possible and escape at the last second. Or you'll have to swim out of an area, or fly out of an area, or fucking jog out of an area. You know, fuck it, get your wheelchair, you're gonna have to wheel out of the area. It's stupid. Why is this every time? I don't mind once, maybe twice, but after every mission you're telling me that there's always a close call? Always? You're telling me these trained, highly skilled CIA operatives are always leaving its chance to live? Like, there's every chance that if this, in this world, if this had gone any different, and if these people were 5 seconds slower, they'd both be dead and the game would have ended. It's stupid. Really is stupid. And to come back to my earlier point, you'd never get to use the advanced movement. I already mentioned it, I know, but it's so stressful when they say, look, advanced movement is the future, and they don't give us it in any way, shape or form. Either let us have boots on the ground or let us have advanced movement. Don't give us a stupid sloppy in between to try and pander to both. It's stupid. We had a couple of other bad things. Is Hendrix, your partner, is so crap. He's the most generic I am a Call of Duty player I have ever seen. He looks generic. There's been no serious time and effort put into his character design. He speaks boring. He's always annoyed at something. It gets to a point where you think, mate, fuck off, I'll do the mission on my own because I don't want to hear it anymore. And, you know, Lord behold, he turns bad. It turns out he's a bad guy at the end because of some parasite that I guess we're being told that you're meant to try and stop throughout the game is now in his brain and it's in everyone else's, and that's kind of a mission. The main bad guy had this as well, but it doesn't make a lot of sense at times, but it's like the game's just saying, well, you know, fucking just go with it, mate, don't question it. Just allow it, please. So you allow it, and he's now bad, and he shoots someone in the head, and it's oh boo-hoo. And then, for some reason at the end, there's a random love story thrown in. And I say love story, for all I know, this could be a fucking friendship, they could be brother and sister, I don't know. There's been no explanation, but one of the people you save now is like crying because she don't want to lose you, and it's like, well, you don't know this guy. You've literally spoke to him once in the entire game, and you're acting like he's literally, you know, your husband. It don't make sense. But then again, we have these little moments, these little inflects of really good, where we see the Nova gas, it returns, and it is a really cool callback to Black Ops 1. And your love interest, quote unquote, sacrifices herself. Now this, I didn't understand either. You have been told that you have this weird thing in your head, that eventually you are almost definitely going to go and kill a bunch of people. So why wouldn't you sacrifice yourself? But no, she sacrificed herself even though she's perfectly able to do your part of the mission. It doesn't make sense, it's just bad writing. But again, I kind of get over it. I think, well, I didn't like her anyway. She was a shitty love interest, so boo-hoo. And then right at the end of the game, after all of this, after you've fought through everything, after you've stopped this evil AI, blah blah blah, you turn a gun and you shoot yourself in the face. From what I can tell. And there's theories online where you're actually Taylor all along, but there's not enough in this game that makes me believe that, if that makes sense. Whether that's the story or not, the game does such a convoluted way of showing what the fuck is actually going on that it's not enjoyable. The ending is so unsatisfying. It's bang, shot myself in the face, right, done. Let's get this done, let's play something else. And that's what it is. And the only good thing I can really take away from the campaign is that the facial design was actually really good. Which is a shame because the facial design was some of the best I've seen in a Call of Duty game. The lip syncing was pretty good. The mouth movements, the overall facial movements were really good. So, well done for that, and well done for a couple of okay missions, but not well done for this shitty excuse of a campaign. Now, multiplayer has always been a big staple in the Black Ops franchise. Black Ops 1 multiplayer was so simple yet so fun, and then Black Ops 2 felt like it innovated on every possible option there was in terms of weaponry, maps, everything. It was one of the best multiplayer experiences most Call of Duty fans have had. So when coming into Black Ops 3, there was big boots to fill, bigger than the campaign, bigger than anything else. Multiplayer, especially when it was released, was such a big hot topic. So let's have a look. Did they do it well or not? Now, I played a lot of this, certainly more than I thought. Now, when I loaded my game up, I was max level, max prestige. I believe I was prestige 10 or whatever it was. I was only level 55, I believe, because I had got to that point before they had added the rank 1000 limit. So I was up there and I reset. And when I was playing, after resetting, I managed to get to prestige 4, level 30 or 40. So I put in roughly 3 days of play just to really test it out, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Does that mean it was perfect? No, far from it. First of all, the hit detection was iffy. I had times where I was using weapons and it felt like I wasn't connecting properly. Now, this wasn't my internet. I have very strong internet. This was purely a game connection issue. There was other things as well, like the connection overall sometimes felt a bit odd. Like, I would have players in front of me bouncing around the place, and yes, it could be their internet, but upon bringing up the status bar and seeing, everyone else seemed to have maximum connection. So I'm not sure what that was about. Maybe I just had a bad couple of days, so that's fine. And like I say, the hit markers were really the big issue. If my guns aren't hitting properly and they don't feel satisfying enough, and I'm not going to want to play. But like I say, overall very fun. And the maps, oh, some excellent maps here, I will be honest. There's old classic maps like Hijacked, but it's now Skyjacked. Plays very similar, and it plays really well actually. Unfortunately, it was a DLC map, so not everyone got the chance to play this beautiful map. There were some really good ones as well. I believe it's Combine was almost like this game's Nuketown, and then Nuketown got bought in. But overall, other than maybe 3 of the original maps, I pretty much liked every base map, and a lot of the DLC maps as well were very, very fun to use. So, yeah, there is that. There are also some things that aren't so great. The supply drops, and this is where the controversy came for this game. When this game came out, it was purely cosmetic-based supply drops. People said, right, that's fine. It's just cosmetics. We can live with that. We can, we've got the choice. And then they started adding DLC weapons that can only be obtained through said supply drops. This was an issue because if one person could use, for example, the FAMAS and someone couldn't, there is a chance that FAMAS could be one of the best guns in the game. And now they ruined it because only a select amount of people get it. Me personally, after hundreds of hours of playtime, I had only got the butterfly knife, which was just a reskinned melee weapon, which was fine. I got the FAMAS, I got an LMG, an energy-based LMG, and 1 or 2 others. But with the sheer amount of weapons they bought in, it felt almost unfair. And they knew they'd messed up because there was like challenges and contracts that came to the game at certain times where it would give you a guaranteed weapon. So, look, say that what you will, they've obviously learned from the lesson. It hasn't really been in many more Call of Duties like that, apart from Infinite Warfare, I believe, which will be my next video. But yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great look, certainly for a Black Ops game, and it really went away from the roots. And it's a shame because the base weapons they had in this game, some of them were pretty fun. There was plenty of variation. You had your classics like the AK-47, which in here was slightly modernised. You had your classic, really fast-firing SMG, and then a more accurate, slower SMG. And then you had some interesting takes. I believe there was a burst-fire sniper in the game, if I remember correctly, which was cool. And I remember that grind. And I remember all the way back when I was on the grind for Dark Matter, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun grind. It was a really cool skin. It's a shame they added so many free skins afterwards that kind of beat Dark Matter in terms of looks, but at the time it was a real prestige to be able to show that I have Dark Matter camo and not many people do, so that was cool. Brought a couple of issues with weapons. There's certainly some that stand out in terms of being way too powerful. A weapon called the Man of War, which was an assault rifle. It was really slow but hard hitting. 90% of people seem to use it, but overall the balancing it is fine. It's not perfect, certainly when you've got disc throwing weapons bouncing around a corner. It could be a bit odd, but it really does lean into the movement, and the movement, I will say, in multiplayer feels excellent. There's also the specialists that were brought in this game. So, other than creating your class and picking your weapon, you could pick a specialist which would either have an offensive or, I guess, defensive or non-weapon ability. So, for example, if you're using the robot guy, that I am in some of these clips, you could choose the scythe, which was a minigun, and your arm came out and turned into a minigun, and it was limited use, and it felt really cool. But if you didn't want to use the weapon, you could use his cloning ability. So you could activate an ability that would send out like 2 or 3 clones, and it would kind of distract enemies, and it was really cool. And don't get me wrong, some were stronger. The Purifier, which was a flamethrower, all you had to do was tap someone with a flame burst and they'd be dead. But then there was also his heat core thing, where it would like stun enemies, and overall I thought it was an excellent addition. It added a little bit extra depth to the game, a little bit extra, you know, if maybe you're playing search and destroy, you're going to want to use a certain ability, and overall I found it incredibly fair and challenging. You know, if you see someone using a certain ability, you then had to react, because not only do they now shoot you with an assault rifle, they might shoot you with a big minigun. And yes, sometimes it feels annoying when you get mowed down by a minigun across map, but you know that eventually you're going to get that as well, so it's fine. And it makes it fun, I'll be honest. And overall, this experience was top notch. I loved this multiplayer. Like I say, over 500 hours put in, and sort of roughly 60 hours put in for this footage, and to really test this multiplayer again. And it's still got a really healthy player base. I never had an issue finding the game. Obviously on more obscure modes, you know, if you're playing capture a flag, you're not going to find anyone, but you can quite easily hop into team deathmatch and get a match within, you know, a couple of seconds, and you're on, and you're doing it, and it's fun. And I'm glad that that is what the priority was, that it was just fun. So well done to them for a great all-round multiplayer mode. Now I'm going to try my best not to pander on zombies too much, because I could talk about it for hours. In my opinion, I'll just be upfront, this is the best zombies in the COD series ever. I put more time into this zombies than any other zombies in Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, World at War, any of the Exo zombie bollocks. It's great, it really is. Few issues. So Shadows of Evil was a great map, and it was the original and only map you could get without DLC. It is a good map. I actually love this map. I love the starting weapon, I love the look of it, and I love the Easter eggs. But it requires a little bit too much setup for a casual player, and if you don't know what you're doing, you are going to struggle. And the option, I mean, is still there in order to do things, but like if you want any of the perks, you need to be able to turn into the beast and do things, so bit too much setup for a casual player, but overall, an excellent map. And then they added the Giant, which was a remake of an old map, and this was an easy map. This allowed players just to hop into the game and play, so this was a great addition. And then the DLC maps overall, again, really, really good. There was the Eisendrache, which had, I believe, the bows. There was, you know, all these cool, crazy maps. There was dragons at one point you could ride. It was mental, but it really lent into the crazy zombie experience. And it had a cool little Easter egg like counter as well. So before maps, there's like this blurred out or blacked out area, and if you do the Easter egg, it will let you know by filling it in. So it was a good way for these really true Easter egg hunters in the zombies games to be able to really experience it. I was never someone that personally did all the Easter eggs, but I love to watch people on YouTube try them and find these little steps. And that was, honestly, it's one of the best additions to any Call of Duty game. It's just this incredible zombies mode. And then at the end of the Black Ops 3 life cycle, they added just a shit ton of classic maps, and this was amazing. This really was groundbreakingly amazing. I don't know if you had to pay for the DLC for this or not, but after Revelations, which was kind of a mix and match of old zombies maps, so Keynote Toten, like Theatre and other ones, it's like they had all the assets, so they said, well, fuck it, let's just add them. And now you can play the original Keynote Toten or Shangri-La or anything else. There's like 7 or 8 there of the old maps, and for me, this is the best experience you can have in zombies. If you're going to play a classic zombies, play this. Yes, it does have the modern weapons of Black Ops 3, but you do still start with the old pistols, the old things are still there, and this alone you could spend hundreds of hours on. You could play Moon, you can experience these again, and it is truly amazing. Like I say, I want to wrap up the zombies quick, because if I don't, I will be here for fucking hours talking about this great experience. It's worth trying. Everyone needs to try this mode. It's truly amazing. There is casual and more competitive zombies maps, and they did a great job here, and you can tell they put some serious time into this, so well done to them for that. Now, there was a bunch of bonus modes in this game. So there was, first of all, the free running mode, which is pretty good, I'll be honest. It's a nice little chance to compete for scores with friends while learning the game. So it goes from, you know, basics to slightly better, slightly harder, whatever, and then you have a quite difficult one at the end. I remember spending quite a few hours on this actually, just trying to learn the little pathways and the little corners to take to shave off half a second. It was a simple mode, and it was really there for almost a tutorial, but it was a great way, like I say, to check your leaderboards and just, oh, look, I managed to get half a second quicker than, you know, John Smith, my best friend. So it was a really cool addition overall. There was then the really well received Dead Ops Arcade 2, I should say. So the original Dead Ops Arcade was really cool. It was a really cool little twin stick shooter, and this really expanded on that in every way. So now you have proper cutscenes in kind of like 8 or 16-bit animation, and it is a really good co-op experience. If I had friends, you know, then that would be better. I wouldn't be so depressed, but overall, it was a good little experience, and you could easily spend hours on this. And I've heard some people say that they don't even play normal zombies, they purely play Dead Ops Arcade, and I can see why. It is a really cool addition to the game. You have plenty of power-ups, plenty of moves, plenty of things to do, and you can even see the levels as you go through now, which you couldn't used to do. So now you can see how far away you are from that final boss type thing, so really great addition there. And then the last kind of mode was the Nightmares mode, which was, I suppose, a fine addition. It was almost like campaign, but mixed in with zombies, because there was one mission in campaign that had zombies, so it's a cool little mode, I guess. Not my type of thing, but it gives at least more content, even if it does feel like it was kind of thrown in there for the sake of it. So my final thoughts and verdict on this game overall. It's an okay game. I'll be honest, the movement is good, and they really perfected the advanced movement, certainly on from Advanced Warfare. Though the campaign was very forgettable, which is a shame because it had loads of potential, and it just wasn't utilised in terms of, like I say, the movement and everything else. The multiplayer was good until they added the supply drop weapons, I'll be honest. If they didn't do that, this multiplayer could have gone down as one of the best of all time. However, like I say, with the DLC that was just kind of thrown in there, wasn't the greatest. The Zombies was great, and I would suggest everyone try it. I mean, this game is what, a tenner now, a fiver? You might be able to get it for. The Zombies alone makes it worth it, and the extra modes are a really nice addition. And to be honest, the final verdict is, well, the game had a lot of hype, with it being next in, at the time, a 2-part Black Ops series. It was beloved by most fans. It delivered on certain things, zombies especially, and the overall feel of the movement of the game, but it was let down by a very boring and forgettable campaign, and at times cringeworthy. The multiplayer was fun, but again has a lot of issues that we mentioned. But yeah, I would certainly recommend it, and like I say, for 10 quid, it is worth it, purely for the zombies. And if you want the DLC, you can get it for another 10, it's usually on sale, and that would give you all the extra zombies maps. So for that alone, I would say it's worth it. Thanks guys for watching as always. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.